believe for a week. They can't lose. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. I guess, would this qualify as the run that Chad Tracy, Craig Breslow, Sam Kennedy, everybody that would talk the first 3 months of the season was like, hey, all we need is like one good run. Does this qualify as a good run?
Not yet, because the Angels are so bad. Look,
Angels are the pits.
The Red Sox most of this decade have made me want to bang my head against the wall, but at least I am not an Angels fan. Holy smoke.
That's a tough go.
Dave O'Brien said Friday night they haven't even had a winning season since 2015.
And they've had Trout and Ohtani.
And Ohtani.
Yeah.
Holy.
And my guy Joe Adell. You see Joe Adell robbing another ding-dong?
I did see that there's a 3-way tie in the dong pool for second place now.
Oh, there is?
Yep.
My guys are falling apart, huh?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Joe Adell not hitting many dongs for you. Robbing them, but not hitting many.
Taking them
and
away.
I saw their shortstop, Neto, has the most errors in the majors.
Nice.
And that Jose Siri, that dive in the Roby Gonzalez triple.
Yeah,
Friday.
no, they're not a
that
serious team.
But so here's where, because you go back to this time last year, that's when they won the 10 in a row going into the All-Star break. But you look at it, they played Washington, who was awful last year, and then Colorado. Washington was better this year. They didn't play well against Washington. They lost 2 out of 3 to Colorado this time around. So you have the White Sox coming up this week, and then a Mets team, which I know the Mets have had a bad season.
They're real bad.
But it is a talented team, and if you don't have Wilson Contreras, and we'll see if we have news about his suspension appeal today, if you don't have him, then it's like, all right, are you going to split these next, 6 games going in the all? Because if that run you're talking about, Keefe, is going to be it, there's still 8 games under 500.
Oh,
you need to stack these series wins on top of each other.
Let me tell you something right now. They are out of it.
Yes.
They are dead and buried. They've been dead and buried since I officially left they have a chance on May 24th is when they got swept by the Twins. That was the moment. Yeah, that was the moment in time where I was like, all right, that's it for me.
And I think they are in the exact same spot now as they were then.
What, 4 games out?
Yeah.
With like a million
because
teams.
Because they were 8-2 in their last 10. They gained a game and a half.
Yeah, right. Because there's too many teams. There's too many teams you're messing around with. So the Rangers are 500, and they have the 3rd wild card. But then the Astros, Twins, Blue Jays, Orioles, and A's are all ahead of the Red Sox. I guess they're tied with the A's. But still, that's sort of the point. You're in this hodgepodge group of bad American League teams. You are also a bad American League team. And so, they won 8 out of 10. The Yankees were in a bit of a big-time slide. They were a mess. Now, you swept them. Good for you. But then you lose a series to the Nationals. Maybe people would be feeling a little bit differently had you won that series and it went the other way. Yeah. So you sweep the Angels. To your point, they're one of the worst teams in all of baseball.
All of sports.
All of sports. In just history.
Yeah.
So now they're off tonight. White Sox and Mets, and then you have the All-Star break. But, no, this is way too little, way too late. I'm not getting caught up in this run at all. I'd be curious to see, was Jones talking himself into it last week, or is he out?
He's still out, but he is leaving the door open to being back in.
Okay.
And here's the thing,
That's
too.
Not a thing you can do.
So, trade deadline's August 3rd. We're less than a month away. But with the All-Star
Sell
break,
the house.
Well, and I agree with you, but if you're Craig Breslow and you're worried about your job security.
Should be.
You probably in the next 2 weeks is really the time that he's going to make that final decision, because you're not going to decide on August 2nd, hey, we're going to sell tomorrow. You're going to decide probably coming out of the All-Star break. So
I would put it past him. We called about Joe Ryan at 5:55 on trade deadline day.
That's true. Yeah, that's
you got
true.
a trade for Joe Ryan?
Yeah.
It's,
hey, by the way,
over,
is he
sir.
available? How about Byron Buxton? Are you there? Yeah.
No.
But anyway, they're going to make that decision probably in the next 12 to 14 days. So, and you have the All-Star break, so you really have this week. If Craig Breslow is going to talk himself into not selling, they would have to have a great week this week. And I just don't see that. With no Contreras and you're going to the White Sox, I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
And I feel like,
and even if they did, it'd be a mistake.
May is probably too early. Even early June is probably too early. We highlighted how, Rafael Devers last year traded on Father's Day was even earlier than most teams are ready to make big trades. But now you're sitting here in July. I think the buyers and the sellers are fairly well established at this point. And look what happened with Ranger Suarez yesterday. He gets hurt. And I'm not saying he was going to be traded. You have him under a long-term contract. But you're always just putting guys like Chapman at risk, or Sonny Gray at risk, or even Jarren Duran. You're putting those guys at risk, and all of a sudden you have this trade all lined up for the All-Star break, and then player X goes down for a month or 2 months, or knowing the Red Sox, we may never see him again, in the case of Tristan Casas. So I would just, That's not the reason to make the move. Like, you already should have been pretty clear to what you are, a non-playoff team. And you do have some useful players, though, to other teams. I'm still very much of the sell. I don't care that they won 8 out of 10. Like, they should be selling everything that they can.
And I think Chapman might be the single best trade chip on the market of any position of any team. Like,
he might be
one of the best closers in the league. And I think another piece of this, too, because I've had some people, I don't know about you guys, have like called on the weekend shows and been like, well, they're only 4 games out. Like, they could sneak in. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people, Keefe, point to the 2023 Diamondbacks and be like, they won 84 games and made the World Series.
Yep.
Okay, they were overmatched in the World Series, didn't win, but like that shouldn't be the model you're trying to follow. Like, hey, let's just try to get in. Because look at last year. It was the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. The year before, Dodgers and the Yankees. Like, you have to be a really good team top to bottom. And you look at some of these teams that have turned it around. Like, because remember in the beginning of the year, the Red Sox were like 10-19, whatever. People were like, well, the Phillies are having a bad year. How about Dombrowski? The Blue Jays suck. Well, okay, the Phillies turned it around because they actually have top-end talent in their lineup.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays...
Their interim manager turned around, too.
Yeah, right? And the Blue Jays have still scuffled a bit, but, like, they're better than you.
Oh, yeah.
Guerrero's had a bad first half. I don't think that's going to be a bad full year. He'll turn it around. So, like, those teams have the top-end talent that they can be like, hey, we can maybe add or give it some time. Red Sox don't have that in their lineup.
No, not at all. And I think there's also a difference between being 4 games back and chasing one team and then being 4 games back and chasing 5 teams.
Especially in a bad AL.
Yeah, the AL is terrible. And so, like, all right, maybe you finish the year with more wins than the A's or the Orioles, but, like, you can't guarantee that you're going to finish the year with more wins than all 5-6 of the teams that are ahead of you. So that's another reason I think it's pretty obvious to be a seller. The other one would be, like, is Garrett Crochet or Roman Anthony ever going to play again? Like, if you knew those guys were, like, ready to go and it was like a real, 15-day IL stint for them, but they're coming back and you're adding, a Cy Young finalist there, you're adding Roman Anthony. No, you're not. You're still relying on, guys from Worcester to come up and try to stay hot. You are putting it together a little bit with smoke and mirrors. I mean, look at, like, Jake Bennett. Like, you're doing a lot of things right now where I'm like, I don't even know how long are you going to be able to continue to do that? So just because you beat the Angels doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Yeah, they're awful.
They're terrible.
And again, it's a sweep. It's nice, but, like, the White Sox are good. Mm-hmm. You're going there for 3. Like, what you did against the Angels is not going to translate to a series against the White Sox.
You know what's interesting, though? And we talk about stats, and sometimes we use them, sometimes we don't. There are only 6 teams in the American League with a plus run differential. And it's obviously the 3 division leaders, Rays, White Sox, and Mariners. The Yankees also have a plus, as do the Tigers and the Red Sox.
It's funny, the Tigers, too.
It's a weird thing.
But the Tigers and the Red Sox have a lot of similarities in that
they
were really aggressive in acquiring and building around their pitching staffs.
Yeah.
And their lineup doesn't have enough pop.
Yeah, it is strange.
Like, and that's been
and everyone's waiting for them to make a big trade, right? Like, they're another team that should be out of it.
And that's been the whole interesting thing to me about the whole Breslow era. Mm-hmm. He has treated the pitching staff totally differently than the lineup. Like, you look at the pitching staff. Trading Kyle Teo for Crochet and extending Crochet is a really aggressive move. He signed Chapman, gave him an in-season extension. That's an aggressive move. The Suarez contract, aggressive. You've developed young pitchers in Early and Tolley. None of that has translated to the lineup. Like, the extension they gave.
Not so much to the lineup.
They gave Chapman
Contreras, but yeah.
They get Chapman an extension, wouldn't give one to Bregman. Right. They haven't developed their hitters good enough. They wouldn't go after Schwarber, wouldn't go after Alonso. Like, they have been aggressive with the pitching staff, and it's largely worked. Yeah. And that has not translated to the line. And that's why they're in this. If they were 2/3 as aggressive, Keefe, with the lineup as they've been with the pitching staff, they'd probably be a pretty damn good team.
Right, because as good as Ranger Suarez has been this year, you probably could have easily taken that money, put it into a hitter, and then see what the results were. Because it seems like you have, even with Brian Bayo being an absolute 0 this year, you have other options. You've had other guys step up and pitch really well. You've had a great rotation. You've had a pretty good bullpen. But, yeah, you just can't hit consistently enough. And that was one going into the year. We kind of, like, scoffed a little bit. And this will be proven wrong. But, like, when the Zips projection came out and there was like, nobody's going to hit 20 home runs. You're like, well, that's kind of low. Contreras might hit it.
I think he hit his 20th was.
Oh, was it 20th or was it? Yeah. So he might be already at the number. So, like, that's wrong. But it also just goes to show you that at the beginning of the year, it was painfully obvious how little power the Red Sox had. and that has played itself out.
Yeah, and I mean
so.
they're last in the MLB in homer. They've only hit 78 homers this year. They're last
and they
in the
play
majors.
Fenway Park half their games.
Yeah,
that's a wild number.
And Contreras, to your point, he did hit his 20th last night.
There you go.
So the rest of the roster has 58 home runs.
That's right. Yeah,
like that's. And I thought the lineup would be worse without Bregman coming in the year, but I didn't think it'd be this bad. But you look at what they did. They relied on a 21-year-old Roman Anthony to be an all-star.
Yeah, they really did.
And here's the biggest one for me. Did they really think Trevor Story was going to 25 homers again and play 150 games?
Tough.
Like, really?
Yeah.
That's what they thought?
That has not happened.
Like,
and then Jarren Duran just having his worst season is obviously.
And Durbin, it's another guy who, and again, Durbin hit, 329 in June. He had a great June.
Yep.
But, that's a second-year guy they're relying on for a bunch of production right away.
Yeah, that was a miscalculation pretty much across the board. You buying into this this Red Sox little mini resurgence, 8 out of 10. Maybe you've just bailed on them altogether. If so, I don't blame you.